Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and a lady I have loved for years and years and years. She has the voice of an angel and such power, and a classical voice and a pop voice. Anastasia's got a brand new CD out. It's called Ultimate Collection, and it features all her biggest hits. And let's start with I'm Out of Love, the greatest radio record ever.
For you?
For me.
For me, I have to say, I agree with you. I actually really, some artists say that their first song, they just are like nails on a chalkboard to have to sing over and over again. Each time I go to sing that song, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that that is a song that I decided to put out, that I wrote, that I believe in. Because I feel that when it does get played, people are happy, and it's not necessarily, didn't really come from a happy moment when I was writing it, but it's the joy of empowerment. And I think that's what the song is about. And that's why I love to be able to sing it.
You are the master of that, really. You seem to have mastered that art of making songs that are immediately lovable, that we can sing along to, and that are timeless. It's amazing how when you listen to this greatest hits CD, which is basically what it is, when we go down it, they're all great songs. I mean, Left Outside Alone, another classic song. Sick and Tired, another great song. I mean, one after another after another. You've had a great back catalogue.
I've had a wonderful time being an artist, and a wonderful time being able to express myself as an artist lyrically, because everything that I've really written is the truth. And whether it's part of my life or something I've witnessed and watched go through, it's kind of just me and who I am, the ultimate collection, which is like, I'm not poking around the bush, I'm just.
I tried that once.
Did you try it? Yeah. Well, I just show bush. I just show it out.
And you know what's amazing? If we boil it all down, you've got such a distinctive voice, and there's sort of an affectation to it, and there's a certain style in which you sing, which is so mesmerizing for the listener. Did that find you, or did you find it?
It definitely found me. I had no idea what it was that I was doing. In fact, I was trying to sound like so many different people at the beginning of my career because I didn't sound like them, and I wasn't on the radio, but I loved Mariah Carey, and I loved Janet Jackson, and I loved Celine, and they were all on the radio, Madonna included, and I would try to emulate them, and it just was like, it just sounded weird. It didn't sound right. And every time, I guess, my natural whatever would come out, they'd say, stop growling and twanging. And I'd be like, I'm twanging? Where am I twanging? And I guess I twang a lot in how I sing, I'm out of there. So this thing that I do is like, I guess they hated it.
So you are aware you're doing it?
Well, now I'm aware. Now I'm aware. But before, I never used to know what they meant. What am I twanging? What are they talking about? And now I see a lot of impersonators or people that, try to sing like me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's totally the way I sound. It's awesome. And I love it because I think I'm honored that somebody would want to sound like me. That means they enjoy what I sound like, even if it's a spoof. When French and Saunders and we did a skit together, I was more than honored that she loved my voice enough to, be like, Randry in your life, and like really just take the mick out of me. It just is great. That's awesome.
What is the most important thing to you? Is it the voice? Is it the stage persona, or being somewhat of a diva? I mean, I've seen you live before and you come on and you own that stage. You've got amazing confidence. Are you really that confident in real life?
I think I've gained that confidence as I've gotten older. Not that literal confidence, but the inner confidence I've gained. The big me that comes off on stage is probably the best of me that never sees no as an answer. And even if I mess up my own words, I'm laughing at myself. Like, ah, ha, 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 ha. Isn't that funny? Like falling, ha, 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 ha. I'm even funny when I fall. So I don't have a problem being normal and being real on stage. But my life is not that big off of stage. When I don't have a lot of, I don't go out to many parties. I don't have a lot of famous friends. I'm not in the now parties. I'm not always in the paper for things because I'm just pretty normal. If I drank, I'd be in the pub, but I'd be in the pub anyway, having like a spritzer, like having.
But it's an interesting choice you've made because you are delicious. You are aware of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you either are or you're not. I mean, look at this picture. I mean, you're aware that
I'm delicious in this picture, and this is a lot of
you're not
people.
so bad on the couch,
a lot
either.
of people take a lot of delicious qualities, and
this delicious costs tens of thousands of dollars.
I'm telling you, this delicious isn't what you wake up next to, Big Daddy. I wish.
Well, you don't look too bad to me, and I'm wondering why you made the choice not to be that girl that's in the papers, falling out of clubs, getting laid in clubs, because, I mean, you could be that girl and that could feed you. You don't do reality stuff. You let the music define you. That must have been a choice.
It's definitely a choice. I've loved my music more than the fame that came along with it. I didn't need the fame. If I could have my music and not the fame, I'd be fine with that. I could play a club of blind people and have them not know who I am. And and just sing other people's songs and just want to entertain them. Because it's not about the accolades of I want them to clap hard for me. It kind of annoys me when they scream too loud because I'm singing.
Right.
I'm like, listen, you guys, seriously. I think that my fans have learned and have grown with me enough to, during my concerts, sometimes you can't hear anything except me singing. Mm-hmm. Like you're not hearing just screaming girls or guys or just anybody just for no reason. They clap or they do what they do when they need to, but it really is about being there for the moment that they know is my voice.
I wonder again if it's because of your confidence in your ability to sing. You're not hiding behind the songs, you're owning them.
Well, and that's how I've always done my shows. My audience, from small to big, kind of know that I will reel in an audience. I've done enough corporates. You just reel them in. You figure it out. When you're an old school like veteran, it's like a variety show. You got to figure it out. When you are played enough live gigs, you got to go with the flow. Comedians, when they've been out on the circuit long enough, kind of know how to do with the heckler in order not to alienate themselves. So it's that kind of thing. You learn through process of elimination,
And is your voice a classical voice or a pop voice? Because it sways towards that, doesn't it? There's something beautifully operatic about it.
I've called it a sprock voice, so it's soul pop rock. It can be like that poppy, normal Bieber-y vibe in the Britney sense, but then it can be Aerosmith and Zeppelin. On certain moments you're kind of like, who is it? Where does this inner rock chick come from? And I'm not sure where all of that expression, because there is an inner something that likes to come out when I'm performing and when I sing. There isn't really holding back, and sometimes I don't even know what notes I'm singing half the time. I'm just singing these notes, and and they just are called high notes, and my audience is like, high notes, and they'll just tweet notes, high notes, because they're like, I have high arm hairs,
I last saw you with Lulu on that tour a couple of years ago.
That was lovely.
And it was stunning because, again, you'd got such diversity of voices, but also unique in your own way. All right, let's start the interview now, which is the question I should have asked about 10 minutes ago. Yes. How are you? Because this is something that's defined you lately. Are you okay?
I'm doing just wonderful. My health is wonderful. From the head to the toes, doing just fine.
Great.
It's been a long time that I can say that. And I just got off almost an 80-date tour, feeling so very blessed to have been able to do that, coming into the Ultimate Collection promo, and now just seeing that we have another tour coming from the Ultimate Collection tour going into the summer. So I am blessed to be back at work, loving what I'm doing, loving that the fans want to see it, having fun with the fans on stage. It's just great.
Because let's face it, with the Crohn's and the cancer and all the other stuff you've been through, it is a miracle you're here. I guess when you're at your weakest and you can't belt like you do as you could today, that's the most debilitating, is it? Above everything else.
And it's normal, I'm not a robot. And I think that that's where, if I was an instrument, it would be different. But my instrument is my body. And I have to do the best I can and treat it like an athlete, which is why I don't go out and I don't go and party, and I'm not my zaniness is kind of zany for life. It's never usually zany to be, I want to jump off this bridge, it's never usually that. It's, so I think that, that being healthy and being able to work is just the best gift.
Do you think it's made you a nicer person, a more spiritual person, and given you an extra edge on stage now, having come through what you have? Because, at the darkest of your adversity, to get through that takes tenacity, doesn't it?
I definitely feel I've learned a lot about myself through my health situations, my marriage, divorce. You learn a lot about who you are, and you learn a lot about what you like about yourself and what you don't like about yourself, and what you'd like to improve. And I think through all of those ins and outs, you hope to become a better person, because that's the ultimate goal. Is anything that you have done in your life that you may not be as proud of, is you don't really have to do that again, but if you do, shame on you, so I have definitely had moments in my life where I am happy that I don't have to do things like that anymore.
And the first time you got back on the stage and you were able to sing like you did before, how did that feel?
I was actually really grateful and humbled by what power it takes to do that. 'Cause at different times, not having that power was kind of like, you're left with, what do I do? I don't have anything to do. I don't have a get out of jail free card here. I don't know what my other thing is. I don't have an other thing that I do. And I'm grateful that this is still where I'm supposed to be. And I'm not trying to look for that other thing either, because that would be living in fear that it's not going to be there. And I would like to enjoy my voice as long as it will, give concerts and give albums. And then I definitely would like to branch off into, TV, or I don't think presenting. I think I'd be an awful presenter. I'd go, they'll be like, okay, here's no commercial. Okay. But I'd always need somebody else to help me. Because
sounds like X Factor on Saturday night.
Yeah, I could actually probably do that.
Anybody
that I
can
could
do
probably
that.
do. I could probably be a judge. Definitely not a presenter. But I think that I could definitely be in some of those kind of voice shows or or be on a comedy skit show and have a lot of fun with life, because I think that's really what I want to do, is just have a good time.
I'm going all over the place. I'm going to come back to reality in a bit because I want to talk to you about that. But the day 10 years ago, more or less, when they announced and you went public about your cancer, were you shocked by the fact that it was all over the news, it was in the papers? I remember reading it on air that day, and the outpouring of love from the listeners was extraordinary.
Well, the problem I had was I hadn't even told, I didn't even tell Elton in 2003 when it came out. It came out a day and a half after I found out. So I found out Friday, and by Saturday evening, I think, or Sunday morning, American time, the world news had called and said, "Would you like to make a statement?" And I was like, "Of what?" And they're like, press statement about your cancer. And I'm like, do people really make press statements? I'd never made a press statement in my career. 3 albums in, I was like, I was quite shocked that even, I thought that was just something they said. And the press statement said. So I put together some words, and they helped me put together some words. And that was me telling people I have breast cancer. And I didn't know what stage. I didn't know what was going on, because I still had this wild hair up my ass that I wanted to have my breast reduction. I wanted to do that, and I wanted to get rid of cancer if I could, all in one go. And so I went under that operation not knowing whether or not it was stage 4, this, that. I had no idea what but I just wanted to have that surgery and just almost be a little bit in denial, but also living in the moment of God wouldn't do this to me. And I was very lucky, because the stage that they had found was an earlier stage, yet the surgery was a harder one because both doctors were in the room, and those two don't need to be in the room together, especially if they've never done it together, because one doctor's ice cream scooping your tissue out, and the other doctor's like, "Why'd you do it like that?"
It's not what you need, is it?
Yeah. It's like they're both like, "What? I just put all this, and now none of it makes sense." So the beauty is that I was able to come out the other side and only have radiation and be very much younger and not take the tamoxifen and do all of that. Not to say that 10 years later it didn't come back. And that was then the choice of double mastectomy, because I didn't want to deal with a third possible really terrible situation. So, I think that coming public then was not as much fun. Being able to now, the second time, I already had a sold out tour that I had to cancel for the Covers album. And I was really excited about that tour. Couldn't have happened at a more debilitating artistic time. I had told them it didn't get leaked out. I had to tell, because if I told the insurance company, they would leak it anyway. So the only thing I said was, I have, breast cancer has come back, and until further notice, I'm unable to perform. So that was that. And then didn't make really another announcement until October.
And of course, the outpouring of love from the public was remarkable. And I just wonder then whether that gave you energy, because you've become an ambassador for other women to fight the disease and beat it. The mastectomy was another step back, though. I wonder how that affects you, especially because you're so feminine. And let's face it, the boobs have been a big part of why the guys loved you, including myself. I mean, they're remarkable. The day you realized that had to happen, was it devastating, or how did you manage to deal with it and rationalize it?
No, I actually, 2 years into my first cancer, I actually had a scare that I thought was another biopsy, blah, 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 blah. and decided to research an excellent doctor, and I was going to get an elective mastectomy. Bam, bam, bam. I don't want to deal with it. So I find this amazing doctor. I have a consultation. Oh, hell no. That surgery is not something you want to do electively. It is a big surgery. I had no idea. The word sounded small, I guess, to me, in theory. I'm like, okay, so we're not going to do the elective mastectomy, but I have a lot of information now. I know a lot more information. And if it ever does come back, I know the route to go down. And I felt as though the time that it kept ticking, 10 years from the date, the month that I got diagnosed. I mean, it was like TikTok. I was okay with that being the decision. The and only decision was absolutely mastectomy. Absolutely, I know the doctor I want to go to. And then just the fine tuning of this is what you have to do because you have radiated muscle. You have to use your lats. So they had to take the lats that you have in the back and they had to put them in the front. So they had to use those as muscles. Now, granted, what they can do and what they can make a woman into is like a bionic woman. Like, women are beautiful after this stuff that they do. In fact, prettier than they were, because they can make them into dolls. I didn't necessarily need to be made into a doll because it was there, but he was able to put me back in place, and I'm very grateful for the abilities that the doctors and the abilities that all of the researchers and everyone has done, that, the women of our yesteryears that have, one taken off and never put on again, and they feel like half a person, that's no longer happening. And you don't have to live that way at all. And, and I make sure I advocate to women that even if you get cancer and you want to get your breast done, you can, because under the guise of your legal system and your health system, you have to do that. And so I'm very, very pro, being able to get the women's, because yes, men love a little bit of that, it's nice to be able to feel like you're a woman again, and a scar or two, it's okay.
You are so beautifully talented, and I thank you for your time. I could talk to you all day. We're out of time. The new album by Anastacia is called The Ultimate Collection. It really is wonderful, and you have given people like me such joy on the radio playing these hits, and your fans love it. Come back on tour very soon. When are you on the road?
The tour starts beginning of May and through May and into June, and probably, you got to go into the summer after that, I guess.
Fantastic.
So, just right to the end of the summer, I shall go.
I hope you know what an inspiration you are and how much we love you. You have an amazing gift, and keep on keeping on. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.